What is going on, everybody? In this video, we're going over some technical analysis for some entries and exits for stocks that I am looking at throughout the week. If that sounds like something you're interested in, consider subscribing, as I do also provide a weekly update to give a pulse on the market, as well as a daily pulse at Hemi137 if you would like to check me out there as well. Now, let's go ahead and get right into it. As if you have checked out my weekly analysis to this point, which typically comes out before this video, you know that we got some big weeks coming up to potentially start breaking this important level here at the 58.42. Again, I am very event and technical driven, given off of everything that I try to line everything up so that we can get this thing correct, at least try to aim for a stronger probability that a potential event may play in our favor, and then try to take advantage of not only the events, which you can take greatly advantage of with options if you can get the timing right, but ultimately look for good discounted stocks as well, and take advantage of those swings. So with that being said, we will watch and we will see what happens this week. I think a lot of this is preparation week. I think we will get some sort of a rally. As long as we can, again, stay this 58, 56, we may hover roughly around here, around that 6K mark going into this week. And then maybe next week we do break out of this channel finally. Again, this channel is something we've been in for a very long time. It is up only, so you do need to be very, very careful in this market. Again, I expect this to try to correct at least 75% of this at some point over the next year or two. I believe that will play out. Again, to get a strategic Bitcoin reserve and to start doing some quantitative easing, what we need is a major event for that to occur, which means there should be some heavy selling to take place. So we will watch and we'll see. But like you can see here, again, we are in a very tight up only channel. This is obviously when we started to pause interest rate hikes. And ever since, we've been just kind of going straight up with a lot of manufactured data that was inaccurate. But again, we've had some corrections on revisions. Again, the revisions don't have direct impact on the market. You need to understand that. Again, this is why I talk about the narrative is kind of forecasted in headline news. And a lot of these smaller news headlines that do come out, they aren't front and center, if you will. And so, again, market is adjusted to that. Algorithms are adjusted to that. So just be mindful of that. So, again, we're at a pretty critical level. We have a pretty nice wick going up. So we'll see how we finish this month out. We could potentially run back up and try to test the 6,100 and continue this channel. Very much could be a strong possibility. I do believe we have about a week and a half window to try to get this Christmas rally really going. Christmas rally to this point has been extremely weak. But again, it doesn't typically take off till after all the holidays. That's a week stretch before they actually start reporting, because if earnings are bad, this whole thing could really start unfolding very rapidly. So again, those are the two real critical levels we were watching this week. Again, not really forecasting anything major this week. Again, the week after that, we start getting closer to reporting earnings. The 15th, we report earnings, and then we also have the core CPI. So I think, again, I think more than likely we're going to hover around this level. We see some general chop in the index, might see some strength in some individual stocks going into earnings, but we'll have to watch closely and see how it plays out. Now, Bitcoin itself, again, we've had some pretty heavy selling. Again, the 108 mark. Again, you have to go back to, what was it, 2.5 years ago. Here we hit 14,925. Again, this has been a massive run, and people still assume that this is going to continue to go even higher than the 583 percentage points change already, which, again, the probability could happen. But again, you are already up 583%. You've been in a bull run to this point. So how much more are we actually going to get? It's really hard to say. To think this thing is just going to run straight up to 200K, I think you're really pressing your luck if you haven't taken advantage of this run already. But we'll wait and we'll see. So I think as of right now, again, there's some really solid support roughly around here at the 60K mark, 70 and 60K mark. You got a solid consolidation here. So I think we will get some sort of pullback. I think the market in general will have that too. Will we go lower than that? Again, it all depends on momentum. I've talked about everything in the last video, and this is why I have two separate videos, because I give more of an idea why this could actually start selling off heavy. If a lot of things, the ducks are lined up to where you can get some major selling. Do I expect a crash? I think you're looking more like of a 2022 kind of move where you get a lot of major volatility in the market and some big swings to the downside, some big swings to the recovery side, and then go from there. But we only, I think, hit like 28% or something like that during the 2022, but that was mainly everything pretty much sold, but tech had some really heavy selling there. I don't think we'll see those lows again. Anything is possible. To think that it won't will only pull back 10%, 20%, or even reach those levels. It's really hard to say. Again, you've been suppressing a lot of big data. You're reaching a lot of historical numbers. We don't know how bad it could get, but the dominoes are in place for it to occur. That's what you need to be aware of. So again, just realize this. Sometimes you need to zoom out and look at this and really see how much the market is actually up in crypto, which is actually up quite a bit. So not really expecting a lot more from crypto. Maybe we try to reach the 120 one last time. I think could be a possibility, but I think you're going to start seeing your L1s and everything else pop here. And then after that point, I think you're going to get a pretty hefty pullback after that. Again, you're not going to get these massive like the massive percentages like you did here, because you're coming from a much lower low, which gives you a much more percentage change, which that was 2,500 in that last bull run. And then now that we are making a lower high, which is normal for any market in the US, that you've already hit 520. So yes, I do believe we can come down roughly to 35, potentially even 26. But I do expect it to try to stay above that 20K mark. So it might be the last time you see anything below 20, to be honest. We'll see though. But again, building a Bitcoin reserve, the market isn't going to do that, right? The US isn't going to build a reserve at 100K mark, right? They're gonna wait for that event to occur. You're gonna get a pullback, and then we'll kind of see what happens here. And then if you see this as well, you had a massive run up, all-time high, heavy sell-off. One last attempt, got a little bit higher, and then we sold off heavily. So I think we may see something similar to that. We may see a pullback to the 66, maybe one last attempt, maybe to 120. And then everything rolls over, I think, is what we could potentially be seeing on this cycle. But again, we have to wait and see. Nothing is for certain. That's why you just have to kind of look at levels, potentially entry levels. I definitely would not be buying anything up here. Again, that's just my opinion, but not financial advice. So that's what we currently got there. Let's take a look at Tesla. As always, Tesla has been on monster, and as you can see on this monthly, it's actually gaining a lot of steam. And what people are unaware of, they're focused on FSD right now. Humanoids are starting to pick up. Humanoids will be the next big thing coming out of Tesla, not FSD. Yes, there will be delays with FSD, and it won't automatically just come online and then start making massive money right away. That will take some time. But we have to understand their energy sector has been done surprisingly well and growing at a ridiculously rapid rate. And then you also got humanoids on top of everything. So with that being said, I think this thing could really start running. It is pushing back up. I think we can revisit the 435 again, depending on what happens. I think this is going to be your Christmas rally. We may break back above this and try to reattempt that close to that 500 mark. I think is a strong possibility, but very strong buy candle coming into this week. And so that's what we really want to watch. Make sure we can cross back over this 408 is going to be important this week. So just keep an eye on that. If we can break above that, I think we're going to head back up and potentially attempt to go back to 500 if the momentum on robots comes out. If Elon drops something about humanoids in this next earnings cycle, that could really potentially lit the fire for this thing to really start catching fire. So that's one thing you do need to keep in mind. And then RX is a big one I've been really watching closely here. I think this one's going to have a huge pop as well. I've been talking about this one. This current level here at the $6 mark is a strong support. We're getting these mini pops up to like 815. So watch those. You can play these intraday zones like this. They're fantastic. You can find a stock that remains in here. Buy at 6, sell at the 8 mark would be fantastic until it actually gets a much bigger. Now you do have a lot of this could potentially short squeeze. There was a lot of heavy short selling on this. This could even pop even higher. So just keep that in mind. Again, this isn't really financial advice at this point. Again, kind of what you're seeing here. We've had some big spikes all the way up to 13. Maybe a possibility we get here. But again, I think this is a good stock. Again, it's not profitable as of yet, but 2025 will be a huge year for this company. It is pharmaceuticals. I don't like trading pharmaceuticals. Keep that in mind. But the only difference I like this one is because it's guided by AI and heavily backed by NVIDIA. So I think this one could potentially have a massive 2025. So just keep that in mind. So positioning kind of for that as well. So I am taking advantage of the zone and watching for 2025. Again, they have a lot of trials and everything coming out. Their whole schedule is jam-packed full of tons of potential here coming into in partnerships coming into 2025. So I really do like this one coming into 2025. So again, for entries, I think you'd be better to wait for 660, 669 or that $6 mark. If you miss it, you miss it. I would wait for a pullback, but I wouldn't be trying to buy too much up at these levels. Even though on the higher levels, it does look like it's low. You can't buy if you're doing long-term swings. Really, just depends on what your goal is. If you're holding for longer than 5 years, then I would say yes. I think these levels are still very low. But if you're doing intraday trading, I would definitely be waiting for the $6 mark for entry for that one. AMD is another big one. I really like this here. I've been talking about this one for a while. I've been DCAing at these levels roughly here around. You have this 137 mark here. I think the zone is off here. No, the zone is right. Okay, that zone is right. So roughly around this 130 mark. And then you do have some smaller zones in here. This runs pretty tight and back and forth here, but there's another 120 mark here. So again, you are consolidating pretty nicely around here. So I do really like AMD, and I love the CEO. I really think this is going to be a big play coming in this year. I think you have to be very careful. I do believe it can sell off to potentially 95 if the market really starts selling heavy. But to break below that and get down to 50, I think you're really pressing your luck. It's a possibility. Anything's a possibility. It can go to zero. AMD's earnings are very good, so you have to be very careful with this one. To think that you can just keep shorting this one that's going to be held down, but I think it can easily recover at least up to these levels here at 170, potentially even the 182, maybe even higher. I think if you're looking at a longer time frame, you can definitely break and hit past this 230 mark. But again, it depends on what your plan is. But definitely a stock I want to be paying attention to moving forward. And then I want to bring up SoFi. I really like SoFi. And it's sad that this thing is ran. I was playing it a lot at this $6 level. But it looks like we are starting to get some sell pressure here. Current support sitting here at 14. Looks like I might, because it broke, I might retest this 1534. But looking at for it to fill the gap here around 12. This thing gets below 10 again, I'll definitely be buying heavy for this one. But this is one I want to watch coming into 2025. I think, again, it's going to be important. Celsius, another big one, has been having some really nice consolidation roughly here. at this $10 mark. Again, the zones are pretty tight. You could even potentially say that that's a zone here that my zone's actually probably off here a little bit. Some of these zones are just so tight, it's hard to really determine. And so got a nice tight zone in between here. And so kind of looking the base here at the $26 mark and again the 31. But again, I like the consolidation that's going on here. I think this can really be explosive going forward. So watching for this, I think it can recover a lot of this. All it takes is one good earnings, and I think the ones that we're talking about here could reclaim a good amount of this. I think this could potentially even see the 52 to 60 mark here in the short term very quickly. And then from that point, I think then you start discussing potentially a revisit of the 100. So watching this one closely as well. And then what I also am watching here is UPST. It's already been running, looking for a gap fill here down to the 53. We could really get this thing even lower than that. Anything below 43, I think would be a good buy. Really, really good buy at 22, but we'll see. You're going to have to be careful with these ones as well. This is UPST. They do a lot of buy now, or it's automated. They are automated loans, I believe, from what I recall from them. Affirm is actual buy now, pay later. So, but I think this one could potentially do very well. Another AI stock, potentially that you can do well. So, looking for some sort of pullback. So, trying to really watch a lot of AI stocks. I think will continue to be the theme. Followed up with any kind of humanoids or robotics. I think will be big as well. Will be the next big wave that come through. But again, Tesla's covers a lot of that. There's not a ton of robotic companies out there, but you can watch for some other ones out there as well. As I know, RR is one of them as well. So we'll watch that one there. And then BA still looks like a really good play. If this thing could pull a little bit further back, this might be a solid support here at the 165. But with this massive breakout that you're seeing here, could potentially reclaim up to the 220. So this might be a good play. If you can let this thing pull back a little bit further to 162, might be a good entry point. The only problem is, again, I don't like the company at all. I'm surprised it's even at 160. I don't know how it's that high. But again, it's backed by the government. So typically they support the stock and it continues to stay at 160 for whatever reason. So again, really watching this, but it could be purely technical. I think this could be a great play and reclaim at least the 220 here in the short term. So watching that one, as always, we always bring that one up anyway, but I definitely do want to watch that one. And then JP Morgan coming into some massive rally. Again, we paused right here, just like the market, and this thing's just been up only. Another big bull flag. We'll continue to watch. Again, when you start, I think the fear is just around the corner. Your bank term funding program is running out. I don't think you're going to see this up only here over the next quarter. So we'll really have to see what we look like over the next quarter to really kind of determine the rest of the year. I do believe we'll have a really bullish year after that. But again, you have to let this debt bomb play out and see where we land, and then kind of see how things unfold. I do think it's going to get really nasty very quickly, but again, the stock market will recover a lot faster than a lot of these other things. So that is definitely one I'm watching there. Lemonade is another big one I really like. They do essentially AI for insurance, and so because of what's going on with the pandemic and everything, they had to outsource some of their loans. But again, still the fundamental of the company is that they're trying to process everything through AI. So it's very quick quotes and very quick insurance. So we'll watch and see here. It's down, definitely in a very long down channel. I'd really like to get this thing below 23 again. Would be fantastic. I was actually looking at buying here at 15 for a long time. And then right before I was getting ready to buy, this thing took off after this last earnings. So we'll watch and see this. Hopefully it can come down a little bit more, but I want to keep Lemonade is one of the ones to watch as well moving forward. There's a lot of value stocks too that I think are potentially good buys. I think UPS is still a good buy. I think the turnaround for this is going to be a little bit longer than anticipated, though, so you do want to be careful about that. But again, massive downward channel. You got very solid support here at the 125. Looks like you've got some other support down here at this lower level too. So you could potentially get a big drop if we do break that. Be mindful of that. I think UPS is kind of in a tough spot with massive wage increases that they've had. Puts a heavy strain on the company in itself, but definitely worth watching. Nike, another big one, waiting for this massive wedge to break out. Again, we've been waiting for a while, but definitely a good buy zone at the 73. They just had earnings not that long ago. So you are getting a little bit more sell pressure. But if you're looking at a longer horizon, I think Nike could do very, very well. So I'm watching that one as well. And then this one, I think we should be okay. But I think just commercial real estate in general is going to get hammered. So I'm not really sure how much more this is going to sell. We could potentially even see it sell off to 46.96. But right now, you got some pretty solid support here at the 51. Just expect it could drop a little bit, a couple dollars less than that. But again, one of the best payouts right now, so maybe worth picking up. But I like O is another potential big one, especially if you're looking for a dividend stock. So we'll look and we'll watch and we'll see how well they do moving forward. Win is another one I really like. There's a big massive wedge building here. It looks like it's breaking this support at the $84 mark. If it does, I think we can pick some up here at the 72, potentially even down here at the 59. So really watching this one closely as well. I do really like Win as well. They're a good dividend player and typically do very well. And I think coming out of everything, once this debt bomb goes off, I think it can do extremely well moving forward. So with that being said, again, a lot of stuff. There's a lot of potentially good pickups still at this point. I'm looking for a lot of the blue chip stocks to get some fear and get some selling. I think it's going to be important. So do just keep that in mind, and then we'll kind of take it from there. So if you like this video, remember to drop a like, and I will see you guys on the next one.